Hello, this is the beginning of entry-level filmmaker discussions. Everyone has to start at some point. So basically, I'm looking to discuss with any filmmakers regarding their experience in filmmaking and those who need the encouragement, either because they want to do some documentary or they just have a dream to express themselves and they may be discouraged by the amount of equipment they have or a lack of crew. Just from attending a number of classes in filmmaking thus far, I noticed I've taken classes with different institutions, and I noticed that every institution has certain support systems based on the level of classes you're taking, whether you're a matriculated student or a certificate student. There's different levels of resources, and also taking the community film making program. So this is just a brief discussion for people who are interested in filmmaking and starting something on their own, who are looking for content that is suitable for the general community. One thing I've learned about so far from the courses I've taken in filmmaking is that you have to have in mind who your audience is. I always hear that whenever you're doing anything as a salesperson, they always say, keep in mind, who you are marketing this product for. It seems narrow from a person who hears it for the first time, but it isn't narrow because it'll help you to have a more organized package, because whenever you do anything, you can be over there and over where, but if you're a little bit more focused as to who you're gearing your product for, it helps you to be more organized and uh, be more organized generally and more specific. And then as you notice, your audience may be expanding, or this audience you chose was not very responsive, then you realize, okay, let me try this market of people. Let me try this age group, these people of this background. And sometimes you find that even though you're focused on a particular group, others will come in and you're like, okay, even though I'm focused on entertaining this group, I still have acquired the interest of other people. So as a filmmaker, some people, they take a completely different route. They say, I'm going to put out what is me, what represents myself, and see who's interested in what I'm interested in. That's another route that people take. Some artists, as you know, with anything, they're artists that are just saying, I'm going to be me. And there's other people say, I'm going to see what is popular and I'm going to stick to that format. So, there's different groups. There's probably another group that I didn't mention. Please share. So just a simple advice for people who are interested in filmmaking is, one, find a filmmaker. I think that's just the best step. Find a filmmaker that will inform you, or that can keep your attention so that you'll learn what you need to learn. Meaning that some people will, I know I started out just following all sorts of filmmakers just to have them on my page so that, they'll encourage me every day. But some of them did not speak to me. So it didn't really, it was no benefit. So find a filmmaker that speaks to you, that moves you to do something. That's step one for me. That's what I consider a good step. Secondly is just feed yourself film. And not any kind of film, I believe. You should go to the library. There are filmmaking books out there. It'll tell you basically, there are books that explain to you how to look at a film. Because now that you're interested in creating film, like one book says, you know more about film than you know more about film because you watch television all your life. Just like as when you watch a movie, you say this is a bad movie because you know the usual setup for a film. And if you don't see it, you say it's a bad movie. Some people, they like bad movies because they still feel the concept that was trying to be portrayed in that film, and they identify with it. So that's why some like they like that horrible movie. It's because that movie spoke to them. They understood the vision of the director or the filmmaker. So one thing I've learned about filmmaking is it's basically a vision. I took my first class and that covered script writing and production, and we started out. I know I started out that class without an idea as to what script I wanted to write, and I started out with one name of the script, and the final name of the script has changed since then. And it's interesting how we use all the instruments required for filmmaking, and to see your idea go from point A to point Z. I'm probably at point D, even though I feel like I'm at point Z because I took the class. You know, I went through this step, and the other step. And a lot of it involved discussing your film concept. First, you write it out. First, before we wrote it out, we described, oh, this is the kind of film I would like to make. That's how we started it out. And these are films that are the kind of films that I could see myself making. This is kind of visual. This is kind of music I can hear. This is the kind of look and feel I want of my film. And that's what we explored. Next was write out a script, write out a film idea. We didn't write out the script first. We wrote out the film. So I wrote the story out. And then my instructor critiqued that, what's your character? Who is your character? Just think of your character as a person. They have to have all sorts of shades and levels. Where are they? What are they doing? What do they look like? What are they wearing? What do they eat? So you have to ask all these things about your characters. Now you have to go to the actual story. And one thing my instructor told us was, you have to keep the story interesting. I'm accustomed to watching some movies that have slow beginnings and then they get interesting, or it's like a commercial. It's just observing a person just in a serene environment and not much is happening. My instructor says you have to keep making the character go through so much as soon as you can. There's always what they call the establishing shot, just to tell you where this person is and what the scenario could possibly be. But it's like a graph. Your film has a graph. Some are like this. It goes up and then goes down. And and that leaves you kind of paranoid because you're like, oh, that happened. And you're just like leaning over because you're waiting for the next thing to happen. And so it's flat, goes up, flat, goes up. And the whole time is in the flat mode. You're over eager and you're excited. So you have to actually, what my instructor told me, go up, 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 up. That was her concept of film. She just keep going up. Because the truth of the matter is, these are things the story writer, the filmmaker is going to consider exciting. It may not be exciting, but they're going, what they perceive to be going up and keeping it exciting. So if you have that mindset, you want to keep your story exciting from the point that you establish what this film is about in the beginning, you'll catch someone along the way. But if you decide I'm going to be flat and then up and flat, you may lose someone in that flat mode. So if you can start out watching a movie for the first 5 minutes, ask yourself when it elevates, when it gets intense, when something happens. I got to go back to my notes and find the correct terminology for that. But that's why this is entry-level filmmaking support. Yeah. So basically, yeah, that's your thing. Take a film. Let's probably look at a film. Let me see. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but screen share. I want to go, let me not do that quite yet. I want to find a film on YouTube. Bear with me. Okay, let's go to YouTube. And I'm on YouTube now. Now I'm ready to share. Ready to share the screen on YouTube. So that would be this screen? Yeah. Okay, so let's look up a film or a movie, right? about a movie from an early movie, like 1920s. Ew, what is that? Is this a film? Well, there's a way to. Okay, this is a movie. No, I'm not interested. Sorry, no. Um, full movie. Elvis for full movie. 1920 London. Why are these horror flicks? Let me just put drama. I'm interested in a drama from the 1920s. Oh, these ladies are, I want to see a ghost movie. Oh, here's Gotti. Let's look at Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Okay? So talking about a movie, how it starts and how it escalates, and I have to go to my notes and see what the name of those, what she calls when you go to various stages.
This is your holiday future.
Are you serious?
Virtual reality. Virtually useless without a new computer.
Hey,
All I see is darkness.
Give Intel 8th Gen Core to power all the latest tech.
here we go. Now we're looking at a movie. I was told that movies back in the day, sorry about it, a lot of titles in the beginning. I suppose now the mostly titles are on the end. Okay, there goes. It starts out with a narration. And the music is getting to me. This is a movie from the 1920s. Right? Okay, it gives you time to read it, which is great. I would love to imitate a movie like this. Okay, so you're reading on the screen, giving us time for everyone to read. I'm not bored yet. And it gives you, it's like reading a book here. This movie is like reading a book. And it gives you time to read it. Okay, let's see. This is not exciting right now, but it's telling me what's going on. There's a man, he's a doctor or scientist, but he looks intense. Look at his makeup, his film makeup. You know, and these are just black. Oh, now what's this ooey stuff? See, it's already getting my skin crawling because I'm seeing all this. It's starting to have an effect on me because I'm like, look, what are these crawly things on the screen? Now it's talking to me again with the title, subtitle, or whatever you call this. I gotta learn terminology. And a gruesome picture of a skeleton panel. Now the makeup here, and now this is a wide shot. You're like, who is that guy looking behind? Ew, yes, what is that? So this is a great movie in the sense that it's talking to me and it's giving me things to look at that may make my skin crawl. So that's pretty. That's an old movie for you. So let me turn it off if I can. Silence it. So that's just something to think about. Take a movie and look at it the first few minutes and ask yourself, is this movie, how is it making me respond in just the first few minutes? Does it stay up? Does it keep the momentum, or does it go down and go flat? So that's something to ask yourself as a filmmaker. You have to look at the film as if you're not you, because everything's personal to you when you create a film. It's like, oh, I particularly show this shot because I wanted people to like what I like. No, people won't like what we like as filmmakers. You gotta either care about that or not care and just hope someone's interested, or you're going to try to say, okay, as a general person, this will be interesting. You know, considering I'm in wherever you are producing your film, or you know your film is going to be sort of countrywide, statewide, or just in a very local area, you have to consider, is this interesting to the general person? So I know I started out just trying to just get the film out, period. And what I learned from my classes, now I have to just hit them hard, you know, go for a good, clean look. Difficult, not easy if you don't understand a lot of mechanics of the camera. You got to go for a good look first, good sound. But let's start out, we're entry level. Let's try to do our best, you know, give it a great look. But There are some people that started out with not everything being perfect, but because the idea was so interesting, people still watched and they gained fans. So I'm going to end this right here and hope to talk to you again. And thank you for watching. Entry-level filmmaker support. It's all for you, and I'm sure there'll be interchange of encouragement. Signing out.